Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever, where today we're going to be casting a custom 1v1 on the map Hurricane, or Hurricane, either way. It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a decently length one, not quite as long as my most recent casts, but let's go ahead and get into introducing our players with the purple Cybran up in the top right hand corner by the name of Terminal. And he is going first land. This map, of course, has a ton of reclaim, 30,000, and a ton of mexes. It's a 4v4 originally, I believe. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, we have ourselves a gray UEF, and the man who's been casted more than any other man on my channel, IcyKnightmare, going first land with Engineer to go get some hydros and all of the power. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and speed it up to get the early game through the way, and we're going to talk about the map really quick. Most of the reclaim is kind of just around these giant cliff faces. There's a decent amount on these droppable plateaus up here. There's a double droppable plateau. You got like two mexes right here, and then like there's another raise and incline and two more right here. It's a very nice map. That is the Great Wall of Factory. In case you didn't know, it's a very, very important structure on this map. We'll have to see exactly how many of these factories get built. How many did he queue? This engineer, 40 factories. So if we see all 40 of them, that will be impressive. A mech marine, or a hunter actually, coming out from Terminal, going to be able to get in here, hopefully be able to snag up some engineers, as you do with hunters. We have another hunter hit squad on the more northern flank to the northwest, and we'll just watch and see how this hunter does. It's moving in. There's an engineer building a mechs. Will the mechs finish before the engineer gets scalped? I think so. The mechs is very close to being done. Let's just keep an eye on it. The mechs does finish. That is indeed going to be a hunter moving forward. Of course, the hunter not quite as good as the mech marine or flare, but still gets the job done. That is going to be a dead engineer if nothing comes to save it. We do have some units now out from IcyKnightmare to come over here and save the poor little civilians, but unfortunately there will always be civilian casualties in war, and that is the first one. The hunter going to go down. On the other side, we have another hunter. Did it manage to pick up a kill? Nope, this is a mantis, and it hasn't managed to pick up a kill yet. It is going to raid in here, going to get that engineer. Is the engineer going to finish the mechs? No! He could have dodged, like, in between the mechs and himself if he really, really wanted to, but we're going to need to see some units out from IcyKnightmare to kind of just stop this. We do have the ACU of IcyKnightmare going to come over, going to blap that thing twice, and it'll be dead. Maybe 3 times, I don't know. Is it 1, 2, or 3 shots? I know it's not 1 shots, but is it 3 shots? 1, 2, 3 shots for the mantis to be blapped. It's 2 shots for Auroras and 1 shot for the UEF comm when you get gun upgrade. But we are now at 5 factories. Let's go ahead and check on Terminal's progress. We have 6 factories, an air factory already up for him as well. Do we have an air factory quite yet for Icy? No, we do not. So that is... Wait, no, we do. Where is it? Oh, it's over here. It's gotten all of the adjacency. 2 mass extractors and a hydrocarbon. That's a lot of adjacency for an air factory. That is 2 tanks versus 2 mantis. The 2 mantis are going to lose because they got focused down, so that is going to be a favorable trade out for IcyKnightmare if the tank doesn't miss too much. Yep, tank's going to survive. That tank is a trooper. Almost 1 veterancy. That could start regenerating health. That could be the hero tank. But it does look like this mantis is going to die, giving a little bit more veterancy over to that comm. We do have a bit of an engagement popping off between various bits of spam across the map. It does look like Icy is getting the better of most of these engagements, but overall it feels a little bit like Terminal has started expanding a little bit faster. We're now up to 7 land factories, which is a decent number. 8 on the way. We have a grand total of 41 total that could be built if this line goes all the way to the edge of the map and builds the inevitable Great Wall of Factories. We have a definite, I mean, it is not necessarily the most efficient wall, because you can walk through the middles, but this wall will hopefully turn in quite good things for Icy, as he will have the production for days. Not quite the same route for building excessive amounts of factories out for Terminal. Terminal only going to have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 queued up instead of a whopping almost 50. Engineers moving forward to try and grab mexes. We're going to see how all these players expand. We're now around the 7-minute mark. Let's go ahead and check on reclaim. It's relatively even, about a 200 mass advantage over for IcyKnightmare at the moment. But on generated eco, we're saying 55 versus 65. So IcyKnightmare in general ahead economically, and I think he may have more factories by this point. Let's go ahead and check. We have 10 factories for IcyKnightmare. Terminal is sitting on 12, I think. Yes, so never mind. Terminal ahead, building some factories over here. Terminal gonna have quite a little bit of Mantis spam. We have a bit of a run-by coming over here to the north. We should be able to see these units get in here, possibly kill off about 6 mexes if unimpeded, even more if they manage to go further south. But over here we have another attempted run-by that's much less successful, as there are Lobos and Strikers aplenty to deal with it, and a T1 bomber to boot. Scorchers are very good. The Mantis are going to start making their way in here, but it is scouted by IcyKnightmare. We can see a response force coming out to that choke point to try and stop these from becoming a major issue. If a bunch of stuff dies right here, that just means more reclaim in this area. Eventually, we will see some engineers over here reclaiming up all of this juicy mass just right here on the screen. About 5,000 mass, which is significant, and that number is just going to grow as tanks die over here and contribute their mass total to that little area that was going to be reclaimed anyways. So that is quite the achievement. We do have a very difference in expansion, though. It does seem that Terminal is managing to expand to the north and the southeast quite well compared to his opponent, whereas his opponent hasn't even managed to start grabbing mexes over here or really over in this area. So that is very interesting. A ton of Strikers and Mantis meeting over here in the middle. Quite a scene to behold. They're fighting in the trees, but this is not NAM, as the UEF does seem to have the advantage against the socialist Mantis over here. The calm of IcyKnightmare going to be making its way in, but maybe I was wrong. The Mantis managing to bust through the first thin line of Strikers and Lobos and is going to start making its way over here to these T1 mexes. T1 mexes only take 7 seconds to pay themselves off, so if this reclaim is worth enough to IcyKnightmare, this would not be the absolute worst attack that could have happened. And the wall of factories grows. It's just this ever-present thing that keeps getting bigger, apparently. We're up to 15 factories, and let's go ahead and check on Terminal. How many factories has he managed to accrue? The Bomb are going to try and deal with this. These Mantis still have a lot of work to do, and we are up to 7... Nope, that's me being bad at math. 6 plus 8 is 14. So 14 versus however many I said earlier, which has grown since the last time I brought it up, because there's constantly 3 engineers building factories, which is such a beautiful sight. A great wall of factory. Now the only way this can get more beautiful is if he double clicks and turns all of these to HQs. He will have redundancy for days. Those are some T2 engineers. We have T2 land now out from IcyKnightmare. Do we have anything similar over here on the side of Terminal? We do. We have T2 land finishing up for Terminal. A T2 PGen already on the way. A bunch of engineers assisting in that becoming a reality. Over here to the north, we have a run-by of Strikers and Lobos that's going to stop the expansion efforts out over here by Terminal. Terminal also trying to grab up the juicy Reclaim. Speaking of Reclaim, Terminal now ahead by nearly 5,000 Reclaim. Just currently at 4,000, and that might rise very soon. Terminal doing quite well on the Reclaim side of things, but there is a ton of Reclaim still to be hoovered up, and I am sure that IcyKnightmare will find a way to get some engineers over there to do that. As for now, though, it does seem that it is somewhat swaying in the side of IcyKnightmare, I would say. The amount of units that is being built up by IcyKnightmare is so much larger than that of Terminal at the moment. He has definitely more factories producing at any given time, I would say, and it is starting to be a bit overwhelming. There's too many Strikers in too many places for the Mantis to respond. Even this run-by up here that stopped the expansion efforts is slowly going to manage to get away as long as the Mantis continue to chase. They are faster, but it's going to be this situation where only a couple Mantis get in range and then they get blapped down. So that is unfortunate. Meanwhile, in the middle, there's still some skirmishing. There's just constant skirmishes happening across the board. Speed and range on the way for Terminal, whereas T2 on the way for IcyKnightmare, opting for different strategies and different paths of building and attacking. The flak over here, not so useful as a Rhino could have been, but the flak will be able to protect Terminal from any kind of airplay. We don't have T2 air out of either of the players yet, so that is a bit premature to be going for flak. But then again, I don't think Terminal has perfect information. I mean, he's seen the air factory, so there's a good chance that he just knows there's no T2 air even anywhere close. Gun speed and range having to be cancelled by Terminal as he's falling back from this large wave of Strikers. He's in a bit of a precarious situation. It's a bit unfortunate. Going to be losing 2 factories for his trouble. Terminal going to be still blapping away. I do not think this is going to be nearly enough to kill off Terminal, but it is going to set him back quite a little bit. It is going to create a massive reclaim field, but a reclaim field that is mainly his own stuff, I would argue. A lot of Mantis and structures out for Terminal end up dying in this engagement. Is that radar somehow going to live with its paltry 10 HP? Oh, it does, doesn't it? The radar gets away. Any attack in the game can kill the radar unless it's a T1 scout, and that radar gets to survive for another day. Sorry, I'm coughing. We have an expand up here by Terminal. Does IcyKnightmare know about it? He has no idea that there's been an expand, but the good news is IcyKnightmare, doing quite well with the tactical missile defense, will be able to protect himself against that for now. But there isn't even T2 up here. It's just an expand for the sake of having the mass extractors up there. We do have a run-by now over here for IcyKnightmare as he continues to push forward. This mech's upgrading to T2. If it does die, that would be quite unfortunate. Or I don't know if it's upgrading to T2 or if it was just you know, dying. Usually when the health bar goes low like that and I can't tell what's going on, I usually think it's an upgrade, but I might have been wrong there. A large push now coming for the north as far for IcyKnightmare. IcyKnightmare gaining a lot of ground very quickly against his opponent. A few Mantis over here going to be dispatched by a bomber and some T1 spam. And that will be the end of that story. So overall, the Great Wall of Factories, which has finally stopped. Let's see what number we have settled on. We have a grand total of 18, 19, 20 factories out for IcyKnightmare, and multiple of these are probably going to end up going T2 at some point. So we're going to have a lot of land units out from IcyKnightmare. Is he going to be able to wrestle control of the air game for long enough, though, to avoid having the issue of running low on the air and getting his ground forces decimated by something as simple as gunships or T2 fighter bombers? There's a decent amount of interceptors for both sides. Let's just check on the number. 46 versus the number 51. So slight air advantage over the Terminal. If they both trade perfectly, then Terminal will win. He does have the slightly higher amount of air, and I believe he has more air factories for that. He has 3 air factories versus 4. Never mind. Terminal is just not producing as much. Let's go ahead and check on the economies, though. 14,000 reclaim and 107 mass a second for IcyKnightmare, whereas Terminal is at 150 mass a second and 20,000 reclaim. So Terminal in a stronger economic position. We will hopefully be able to see if he can translate that into a meaningful advantage. We do have a bunch of T2 units now joining the fray. They will make short work of the spam. If there is enough spam, it will kill off T2 units. It's just never an efficient trade, as T2 units for the same amount of mass are infinitely more effective. And it is, of course, going to be a bunch of units dying to these hoplites and these rhinos of various sorts. Rhino and hoplite over on this flank going to be able to hopefully gain a foothold and stop this ever-present wave of gray units coming towards him. There is still an expansion down here. I don't know if IcyKnightmare even has an idea. He does not. He doesn't know that there's still mexes down here to the bottom right. I don't even know if he is fully aware of this. He is. There is an attempt to build some tactical missile launchers, and then there's going to be some Gunthers built up here. This did go to T2, and it is going to have a stealth generator, one of those Twilight T2 stealth generators for the Cybran. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be enough, though. Gunther's now on the way. Gunther's going to be able to do quite a little bit. All of these tactical missiles are building, but I don't quite see any kind of tactical missile defense in this particular area. So it could get very dangerous very quickly. We do have T3 finished up for the IcyKnightmare, and he's starting to produce Titans, which is quite a dangerous situation over here for the purple Cybran. Of course, you know, Icy is the man with the plan, so to speak. He is a man who loves his Titans, and he's not a big fan of Percival's. So he's gonna have a ton of Titans, and for everybody who says Titans are weak, you might be proven wrong, because his Titans do a lot more work than everybody else's Titans. If there were like stat cards for players in this game, IcyKnightmare would have like +5/+5 to all Titans built. If this was like Hearthstone, like a card game. That is a lot of T1 land dying to a small amount of T2 land, so that is unfortunate. We have an attempted run by all these units trying to get past this. We'll have to see if they manage to get any significant damage done. Let's go ahead and check once again on the reclaims. Over almost 200 mass a second out for Terminal. Icy sitting at only 130 or so. There's still a deficit out for IcyKnightmare, as we have loyalists making their way towards the spam and towards the comm of IcyKnightmare. Getting them close to the comm is not very useful. It does look like the tactical missile pack has been picked up by IcyKnightmare. Is there enough anti-TML? TMD, I guess, is what the official name of it is. Do we have any whatsoever? We should be able to see them right here, and no. I don't see a single one here. I could be wrong, but I don't have the time to be too scrutinizing, as the tactical missile launcher pack is going to be able to cause issue. We did have a tactical missile land seemingly over here, or something of the like. It does look like that was indeed a tactical missile launch out from our gray UEF, going to be trying to deal decent damage to that. We have some tactical missiles flying out now over here for the Cybran. Going to be seeing T2 mexes go down, which is very painful. Some Titans trying to clean up what's left of the T1 Mantis spam. It does look like our purple Cybran, the player known as Terminal, has completely abandoned the T1 side of the game and has gone straight to a T2, T3 stage of it, not building quite so many land T1 units, but is going to have a large number of units in general for fighting, considering he has so many T2 support factories. Terminal himself is over here in it's not a super undefended position, but it is rather far forward, I feel. Does seem to be opening himself up to possible damage. We have a roaming band of Titans going to be moving up here to the north that has been taken over by Terminal. This fire base over here to the east on this plateau is causing some trouble, going to be killing off some power generators. Does Icy really need them? No, he does not. He has T3 power already online. Those T2 power generators are simply there to be reclaimed at this given point. The Gunther's now going to be causing quite substantial issue, though. The Gunther's having very, very good range, going to be able to fire on this. But we have a drop of Titans up on this cliff face, and that is going to be a massive problem. I do not believe that these Titans can... Oh no, move the Titans! Move the Titans, my boy. Don't let them just sit there. Don't give them a chance to build up some PD and protect against you. You beautiful people. Beautiful things. Oh, I didn't even notice these mass extractors in the corner. That seems like a stretch. That seems like a lot of work to get that. The Loyalist over here going to slowly be cleaning up all of this T1 that was sitting right there in front of them. A large push now out from IcyKnightmare towards this kind of expansion area that's been reclaiming this entire time. Speaking of reclaim, 39,000 for Terminal versus 22,000 for IcyKnightmare. Titans just doing Titan things, running around, killing off, raiding, very good raiding units. We have the Titans over here on the cliff. They are a bit unopposed. There's only some Sky Slammers over here, and Sky Slammers not good at dealing with Titans. In case you were wondering, Sky Slammers not the ultimate counter to Titans. That's going to be a dead flak. I still don't understand all of the flak. We do have T2 air actually finally out for our UEF player, and T3 air finishing up for Terminal. Terminal quite well on the tech train, going to have a T3 air and land, all of the tech 3 tech you can have on this map, because I'm pretty sure there's no navy, and possibly going to be able to get into the range of having experimentals sometime soon. Those are a bunch of Loyalists engaging a bunch of T1 units, and a PD creep that was attempted. Are these Sparkies? Are these just... Is there a Sparky? I don't know who's queuing up all of this amazing stuff. If there was a Sparky, it's dead now. That's yeah, these Loyalists are just gonna chew through this like it's nothing. But we have Titans on the way. Titans to counter the Loyalists. Many a Titan are gonna start pushing forward very soon. The Titan is not quite getting in full engagement with the main army of Terminal. Terminal in a commanding position at this point. I would say the T2 spam instead of the T1 spam is much more effective. I'd like to see possibly more support factories going to T3. I doubt he can afford it, but if he can manage to find the money for it, that would be exceptionally useful. Do we see a strat bomber yet out from our Cybran player? We do not. Over here there's some kind of coexisting civilian stuff. There's just like factories, and then there's like mexes, and like these players are just coexisting over here in the bottom right hand corner. But I have a feeling that's going to change very soon as Titans manage to kill off this expansion, and very soon I'm sure some Titans will be sent down to the other one as well. As we see, this has been scouted. So yes, that is going to be the unfortunate demise of a civilian colony. Bunch of... See, this is the difference between low-rated players and high-rated players. They'll constantly lose these mass extractors, and then they will send something and go take them back. These ones that are just kind of on the periphery. Instead of doing the thing where a lot of low-rated players do, they're like sitting here like, oh, I'll take area I can defend, and I'll hold that area, and I don't need to expand too much because I can eco up here. No, the eco is out there. Go get it. Map control, important. Map control make us strong. A drop out over on the northern cliff up for IcyKnightmare, which is going to be relatively effective. We have another drop seemingly out of out of Terminal. IcyKnightmare is going to be able to get countered over here, but we could see some more Titans just dropped up here, and that does seem to be quite the effective counter to the entire T1 engineer building fire base on your cliff. It worked quite well on both cliffs. That is going to be a transport picking up Titans. These 3 Titans going to be roving about doing their thing. And look at that. T1 engineers going down. That's dead mexes. Just so much stuff going on at any given time. But now we have bricks, so we'll have to see how IcyKnightmare responds to bricks, because we know he's not gonna build Percival's, at least not until he is absolutely forced to. So there's gonna be a mass fabricator. This is a very efficient style of a template, using a mass fabricator to build up a form factory setup. These engineers coexisting, not really going to be commencing hostilities against each other just yet. Which is, of course, always an option. I mean, they are civilians. None of them have guns. There's no Sparkies here. There's no engineer with a shotgun saying, "Get off my lawn," in this situation. A bunch of Titans dropped over here. 3 Titans going to be able to get decent amounts of damage. There's not enough land units just kind of in the vicinity to stop this, so you can just focus down these mass extractors, kill off a decent amount of mass production out for Terminal, and slowly IcyKnightmare is catching up. Terminal's been sitting around the 200 mass a second mark for a long time, whereas IcyKnightmare is getting much closer to that. And these are going to be 4 dead T2 mexes that had all of their mass storage around them. This Titan, I believe, this brick is able to kill off the Titans if microed properly, but keeping the Titans in range means that the brick will probably die to this. The Titans have enough DPS, and as long as they can keep at least one of their shields up, they can kind of just cycle the damage between each other, and this is getting a lot more work done than I think had any right to. But meanwhile, there's really not much ground being gained anywhere else out for Terminal. Terminal going to be able to... That Loyalist is very dead, and this brick very nearly almost dead too. So that was... oh wow, another drop out from IcyKnightmare, going to be able to cause massive damage, killing off a T3 Mex, I believe, and that is going to be exceptionally painful, bringing Terminal down to 160 mass a second. Terminal has built an experimental unit. Is that a Monkey Lord? And if so, where is it? There's a Monkey Lord built up by Terminal now. So that is a definite issue. I don't know if Icy has the capability to deal with that. A large... sorry. I just breathed something into my throat. A large army in T1 and T2 transports out for IcyKnightmare, going to be able to drop it right into the base. There's nothing here to stop this. Terminal may even see it, but he doesn't have the ASF right now to send over, and even if he did, he'd only get 1 or 2 of the transports. All of these T2 transports are going to land and drop this. Meanwhile, though, the Monkey Lord is starting to make its way south, and that is a problem. Does IcyKnightmare know about the Monkey Lord? You could tell from this, but this is not super indicative of what's going on. There you go. You can see the Monkey Lord for a second. You can see what's going on. Meanwhile, Terminal's comm is over here. There's a bunch of Titans and Strikers and just so many units over here. This could be the death of Terminal. Oh my word, Terminal doing in a very dangerous situation. Terminal going to be going down. He does get a rank of veterancy just in time to try and save his life. There's a bunch of Cerberus now being built to deal with the Titans and all of this spam. The spam going to be killing off a lot of the eco for Terminal. This is a very damaging blowout from IcyKnightmare towards Terminal. But now there's a Monkey Lord, and I don't know how he plans to deal with the Monkey Lord. There's a bunch of T1 bombers now heading out towards it, but We don't have T3 air yet. We're just now getting T3 air upgraded, and as long as Terminal starts building up enough ASF, he can protect this using these T2 transports, these star lifters, as basically gunships over here on the eastern side of the map. As the Monkey Lord continues to push forward, is going to be able to get past these point defense with no issue. Well, not if it does this. Not if it just stands in range of the point defense and doesn't move forward. That would be the one way not to have that work in your favor. There's gonna be a ton of T1 units in between the Monkey Lord and the base, but T1 units are just gonna be eaten up by all these loyalists. He's building Percivals. Oh my gosh, they forced it out. They forced him to build Percivals, everybody. It's a very scary moment in our history. Is this Monkey Lord going to be able to do everything it needs to do to just turn this game in the favor of Terminal? Because the drops out from IcyKnightmare have been spectacular and have caused so much damage over on to Terminal's side of the map. He needs this push to cause significant damage or win the game. The Monkey Lord pushing through all of the T1 with the assistance of the loyalists, and it's going to be very difficult. Broadswords now being produced. You're gonna need a lot of broadswords very quickly, but you can get them, I do believe. Do we have enough ASF to possibly stop the broadswords from just DPSing down the Monkey Lord, who's about to vet up? That rank of veterancy would be exceptionally painful to deal with. I don't know. Is IcyKnightmare in a horrible mass stall? It does seem that he is. He needs to pause these T1 factories. These T1 factories are no longer doing anything for you. They're producing meat for the meat grinder, and that is all. Maybe a couple seconds of stopping it from moving, but still, that is just not nearly enough. The broadsword's going to start going down, and we need Ravagers. Ravagers are a good answer. Pause everything and build the Ravagers, but IcyKnightmare calls the GG, and I believe this will be a Control K as the Monkey Lord enters the main base and is going to be getting in range of all of the T3 factories. If the HQ goes down, that is the end of it, and IcyKnightmare does Control K. And that was the cast for the day. Thank you all for joining. You all are beautiful. If you liked, then liked it. If you disliked, then dislike it. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments. And I think all of you are beautiful, you beautiful people. Thank you to my patrons, Timothy Caldward, Sergeant Syphilis, and Nogthor, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!